And being a college coach, I was home not very often. So my wife was really the saint of the family. She kind of raised the kids. But just to give you some idea, you know, on Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, when you're a college coach, you really can't enjoy your family. I had to call recruits on those days, because if I wasn't calling them, I know that schools that we were competing against were calling them. So you really couldn't enjoy your family at that particular time. Kevin said he played for me. He said it's hard, and it was. Because as you guys know, the fun of being in a class, on a team, is to make fun of your teacher, to make fun of your coach. I mean, that's fun. When coach leaves the locker room, you talk about it. His idiosyncrasies, some of the stupid things he says or does. Think about this. My son is on my college team, and he has to go in that locker room after practice or after a game. One of two things would happen. He'd hear the players say some pretty nasty things about me, or they wouldn't say anything because they were afraid he would come back and tell me. That's really tough, difficult. So what I had to do, because I didn't want to take that right of a player or a student to criticize their teacher or coach, because that's fun for them. It's fun for you guys to do that. So I had to keep Kevin up in the gym after practice every day for an extra 20 minutes or so, while the other guys could go to the locker room and make fun of me. Now that's hard on him too. It's not easy playing for your father. I'll never forget one day, my daughter, Shelly, went to St. Joe, and she called and said she forgot something, a poster or something. Dad, would you get it out of my desk drawer? She's at school. So I go to the desk drawer, and I didn't really root around. It was sitting right there. There was a paper she had written for English class. The title was, Why My Dad Is Never Home. That's difficult. That's real difficult as a father. So again, being a dad is not easy. You sons, you're going to be dads one of these days. Just remember that. And fathers, I hope your sons appreciate how difficult and some decisions you have to make. I said as a college basketball coach, I never had to make as many ethical and moral decisions as a college coach. I never had to make those as a family man. I had one game where my star player came to me before a big game and said, Coach, I need you to help me. My girlfriend's pregnant, I need an abortion for her. Now your moral principles are really challenged. I don't have this player, I lose the game. I lose the game, and I get ripped in the paper. On the other hand, my moral convictions, I don't believe in abortion. So tough decision. We lost the game. I did not help the player. He was in a bad mood because I wouldn't help him and we lose the game. But I was not going to sacrifice my principles there for, for that. One other story, Whitey Herzog, Cardinal manager, was a big basketball man. You've seen him at the zoo games, he'll be at some St. Louis games now. We lost a big game to one of our rivals, and it was because I had to discipline two players because they didn't go to class. And I didn't play them. We lost the game. Paper rips me, and Whitey says, Rich, we got to have a meeting. So he came to the office, I had lunch brought in, and he said, Rich, you're going to get fired. You got to figure out a way to punish these guys without sacrificing the game. I said, Whitey, the only thing these college athletes value is playing time. He said, I find my players screw up, I find, I said, hell, they don't have any money. I can't find them. He said, well, I find my Cardinal players when they're, I said, I can't do that. So again, being a father away from your family is difficult. Kevin, you got anything to add? And I'll wrap it up.
As a dad, I have much more respect for my own dad. I often say to myself regarding mom and dad, man, how did they do it, 6 kids? Well, one way they did it was by being extremely cheap. Dad wouldn't waste a nickel. He still won't. In fact, I never recall him ever giving any of us money until we were in college. We never went out to eat or did trips or had fancy gifts or cars or anything like that. We never even thought about it though. I'd have friends tell me, hey, my dad got me this, or I got an A's on my report card, so I got $50. One time I made the mistake of going home and telling Dad, you know, hey, my buddies are getting money for this and that. He got very angry with me and reminded me that if we had it in us to do it, we should not expect any reward for doing it. And those other kids were spoiled rotten. And we weren't, he said. The hardest thing for me as a dad now is to see my own kids struggle. When I know I can help them, but they don't listen. You hear me, Dad? My 9-year-old son likes basketball enough, but he doesn't want to practice like I think he should. His dribbling and ball skills. I know the drills to give him, to sharpen his skills, but he doesn't want to do them when I'm telling him. Consequently, he'll mess up in the game. He'll dribble the ball off his foot or something and kind of look at me, and I'm thinking, Lord, listen. Consequently, well, anyway, so many times as kids, I think we have to learn the hard way because we don't want to listen to people that really know better. I don't think it's all that bad learning the hard way, but if you don't have to, why do it? Save some valuable time, SLUH students, by listening to your dad now. You're going to learn the hard way about some things, it's part of life, but you don't have to learn the hard way about everything. Your dad's been there and done that. Do what he says. Highly encourage that. Think about it. Why would your dad ever give you bad advice? It makes no sense. If you think he is, ask yourself again that question. Why would he give me bad advice? It wasn't always easy with Dad and I. As a teenager, I loved basketball. I played every waking moment I had. My dad attended 4 games in my 4-year high school career. He was coaching his own team, traveling, recruiting. And I understood that. I guess maybe deep down I might have had some resentment for that because I thought, man, I could be even better if he was there coaching me. But I know Dad did his best to teach me the skills of the game. But as kids, we always want one thing from our parents. That's their time. Still, I believe God has a way of making up for lost time. Sure, my dad missed my high school time and much of my college days. But it's funny that I maybe spend now more time with him than all my other siblings do. He mentors people at my current job. I ask him for advice because he works in my field. And I wouldn't trade that time for anything. Dad, what are some takeaways you'd like to leave everybody with tonight?
Just to end this, fathers, your children, your sons, are with you, 18, 20, 22 years. Then they're gone. Now think about that. And so, I guess one big takeaway is, fathers, dads, really love your wives because you're going to be with her. And I love mine. You know, during that time period that you're with them, don't be afraid to tell them you love them. Don't be afraid to tell them how proud you are of them. And then when they leave, there's going to be that period in their 20s, dads. And you guys out there, you students, when you're in your 20s, you'll get married, you'll have a family, you'll have a job, and there'll be a tendency to forget about that. There will be. Dads, don't be upset with that. That's life. That's the cycle that we live in. It's okay, dads, to cry at their wedding. I've done it. To cry at their accomplishments. My oldest son, Rick, is the glue to our family. When we have a get-together or a reunion, he kind of organizes it. He kind of says what we're going to do. My 2 daughters, Laura and Shelley, are both physical therapists. They both live out of town, but I'm so proud that they are just wonderful mothers, much like their mother. And I tell them that. You're a great mom, Laura. You're a great mom, Shelley. Brian played at Missouri. 5'10", got a scholarship, 4-year starter at point guard at Mizzou. It was so sad when he played his last game because I knew, as a father, he would probably never play another organized basketball game again. And I wouldn't have that thrill of being watching. Now he's successful in business, but that's proven true. He's not played a game that I've seen since that time in Missouri. My other son, Tim, he won a scholarship, non-athletic, to Kirksville because his ACT scores and his academic achievement was so good. And sometimes I forget to tell him how proud I am of that. So, and you see Kevin. I'm just proud that he's up here today. To you sons, just remember, by the time you realize that your father was right about a lot of things, you're going to have a son who thinks you're wrong about everything. I want to thank John, David, SLUH High for the opportunity to get up here and speak today. Because again, you made me think about my relationship with my dad, my family, and SLUH High. Thank you.